Match 91. Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla, Obsidius and Krystalak vs. Mechagodzilla vs. Biolante by Christian Zatkov. In Canada, the city of Toronto was all but empty, and for good reason. The creature known as SpaceGodzilla had converted it into his crystalline fortress. Arriving 2 nights before, the Crystal Menace wasted no time in turning the CN Tower into an energy conductor, a conduit for transferring plasma from the depths of space to its master. All attempts made by the army to kill or drive the monster away ended in disaster. Now the city was empty, save for some stubborn business owners, looters, and the mentally insane, and of course, the monster himself, who was leaning heavily forward in a standing position, sleeping. But tonight would be
And he
different.
fell over.
Yeah, right. He fell over.
Like, you could just imagine the Smith Godzilla been like just falling over on his face.
Man, he's really lazy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
Very
like,
Shin
oh, look, I got a
Godzilla-esque.
power now. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna sleep now.
Just fall asleep standing up, no big
Yeah,
deal.
Bless you. Very Shin Godzilla-esque. Interesting, because this came out way before Shin Godzilla, but still.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Still better than Shin Godzilla.
Space Godzilla awoke,
Yep.
sensing another nearby. Looking around,
So he fell.
he noticed something wrong when he spotted activity in the bay. There was a red glow coming from the waves. I'll keep that in mind, which were boiling and steaming. Suddenly, Godzilla rose up from the water.
Brother!
Space Godzilla had been waiting for this. At last, he would have his revenge. He watched his
Okay, Darth Maul.
yeah. He watched.
Darth Maul. Space Godzilla just pulls on the crystal and activates it. Zoom, zoom.
Yeah, right. He watched his twin approach him, waiting to strike. But even before Godzilla reached him, Space Godzilla knew something was wrong with his brother. Patches of his skin, his eyes and spines were glowing a bright red, and steam was issuing from his body. Godzilla had become what scientists called Burning Godzilla. More like a Toho executives, but whatever. Godzilla knew he had an advantage.
I would love
this
to
time.
be in that meeting. Sorry for interrupting. I would love to be in that in the meeting in canon where they're discussing this new form of Godzilla, and someone goes, "I know, we'll call him Burning Godzilla," and trying to convince everyone to actually call him that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
Well,
That'd
Harley,
be
you're
a
gonna have
great
to
conversation.
learn the
Your reading
language
is
of
boring as
Japanese.
chicken
Yeah.
to death. He's slowly falling asleep.
Due to his massive increase in power, he was now as strong as Space Godzilla, if not stronger. Sensing that Godzilla now possessed an unlimited supply of energy, Space Godzilla changed his plans. He knew that if he could somehow get Godzilla's power under control, he could become a powerful tool. Oh my. Space
I
Godzilla
could.
Space Godzilla planned to trap his big brother in one of his crystal prisons. He would then get his power brought under control, serving as Space Godzilla's spare energy source. His crystals
Spare.
Only a spare, not a main.
No, only the spare, yeah.
only the
In
spare.
case like Space Godzilla gets like a flat crystal, he's gonna be like, "Okay, time to get the spare out," and hauls out Godzilla.
His crystal's purpose was to
I
absorb
fell asleep
energy.
because of your reading, Kaiju X.
His crystal's purpose was to absorb energy, so it was only fitting he turned the king of the monsters into a battery. With him out of the way, Space Godzilla will claim his rightful place as the king, and once the Earth is his, he would spread his crystals all throughout the universe, absorbing all the energy there is to absorb and become a god.
Zilla.
Yeah. Godzilla remembered all too well how Space Godzilla had kidnapped his son. Determined to destroy his alien counterpart for good this time, Godzilla charged forward. Space Godzilla opened fire with a Corona beam that twisted and whirled before digging into Godzilla's face and exploding. Blinded for a few seconds, Godzilla was not going to wait for his vision to return only to be shot again, and fired a powerful red blast, hoping it would find his foe. Reflexively,
It
SpaceGodzilla
didn't.
generated an energy shield that reflected the beam right back at Godzilla. The blast hit Godzilla hard, sending him hurtling backwards and toppling onto his back. SpaceGodzilla noted the increase of power in Godzilla's ray, thankful for his quick reflexes. As he got to his feet, Godzilla unleashed another spiral blast, this time aimed at the CN tower. SpaceGodzilla formed another shield, this one around the tower, deflecting the ray harmlessly into the night sky.
Can SpaceGodzilla form shields on other objects other than himself?
Yes, I believe he does that to the tower in the movie.
Okay, good.
So,
Is the reason why SpaceGodzilla is floating is so that he doesn't clumsily fall over when he walks?
Oh, but
Yes.
to be fair, I'm not even sure SpaceGodzilla can properly walk. I mean, we have literally never seen him actually move in the movie
neither
on his own 2 feet.
right. Neither
He
do we
has
see that with Destroy
The
Us.
wheelchair, don't you know?
Always remember, SpaceGodzilla is very, very thick.
Dag. He's a thick space boy.
Anyway, SpaceGodzilla floated into the air, hovering towards the Monster King, not wanting to give him an ounce of breathing space. Oh, they're gonna get really close this time.
Ooh, 2 thick boys coming closer and closer.
Godzilla got to his feet, only to be smacked across the face with SpaceGodzilla's tail. SpaceGodzilla landed as Godzilla rose again and charged, clawing at him. The crystal nightmare from the stars responded in kind, charging his hands with energy and clawing back, each slash causing red electricity surge into Godzilla's body. Godzilla conducted his own energy through his touch, clawing even harder in clawing.
This is kinky.
Yeah. Each of Godzilla's blows sent his runaway power surging to SpaceGodzilla, drawing a shriek with each hit. The energy would normally be blue, but because of his current state it was red, just like SpaceGodzilla's. SpaceGodzilla grabbed Godzilla and held him in a chokehold, striking him down in the face over and over with his free hand. The energy surging through his hands was now shocking Godzilla with each blow. Finally, after what felt like forever, Godzilla managed to strike SpaceGodzilla in the stomach. SpaceGodzilla stumbled back, letting go. Godzilla delivered a powerful blow to his evil clone's face. SpaceGodzilla was stunned as he felt his teeth knocked out and tasted blood, falling to the ground. See, SpaceGodzilla? This is why you should walk around more often with those thick legs of yours. It's not doing you any good.
He needs to do some jazzercises, man.
Yeah, man. Godzilla kicked him.
This is Space Godzilla. This is why you don't skip out on leg day.
Godzilla kicked him before he could recover. Then as the space mutant tried to get up, he was slammed in the face by a powerful tail, making him slide back several hundred meters. By the time he was back on his feet, Godzilla had already reached him and was wailing on him with his fists, using his energy to shock SpaceGodzilla with every punch. SpaceGodzilla had enough of this and unleashed a point-blank blast of his Corona beam into Godzilla, sending him crashing onto his back. The crystal beast hovered back to his original spot near the CN tower and decided it was time to release his puppets. Not too long before arriving in Toronto, SpaceGodzilla had sensed 2 creatures giving off energy similar to that of his crystals. One had come to destroy the crystals, while the other sought to harness their power. The 2 attacked not only SpaceGodzilla, but each other as well. They had put up quite a struggle, but after a long fight, SpaceGodzilla had managed to capture them, bending their will to his very own until he was sure that they would be loyal to him.
Just want to point out, we have never actually seen this fight happen yet.
Yeah. Now they were completely under his control, serving as his personal protectors for fear of being toyed with and destroyed by one more powerful than themselves. The ground shook and two crystal clusters rose from the ground on either side of SpaceGodzilla. The crystals split apart, revealing two new kaiju within.
So, a quick question: how long has Space Godzilla been on Earth? If he's had time to have a drawn out slugfest with these two new kaiju,
A
then
while, I
go to
guess.
Toronto?
A
2 days
while.
sitting
He
here.
guess he did. Yeah, I guess he did this in 2 days. I guess he must be. I guess he must not be that tired then.
Yeah.
Man, that's probably why he fell over in his sleep.
Yeah, that's
just
why he
finished
was
fighting them.
sleeping, standing up.
That's why he was. That's why he was so tired.
Exactly. Makes sense now. One of them looked like a strange ape that walked on its toes, while hunched over from the heavy crystals on its back. It had a spiked tail similar to Space Godzilla's, and its face and biceps were mostly made out of purple crystals, with long crystals sticking out of its chin.
It's Crystal Khan.
Yeah. A strange yellow crystal was sticking halfway out of its chest. It should be a crystal orb, but I don't know, that's just me. Krystalak slashed the empty air in front of him before hissing. The other kaiju did not walk out of its crystalline container, but rather dug out. The ground shook violently. Before SpaceGodzilla could question what was happening, a huge rocky mass raised out of the ground. Slamming its stone hands against its chest and roaring into the sky, Obsidius looked back at Godzilla. Or was it looking? Godzilla couldn't tell as he tilted his head and tried to understand how this thing could see him, or was even alive. It had no eyes, and most of its body was made of rock.
I'm wondering why Obsidian didn't think of digging out earlier.
Plot convenience.
Yes.
So am I the one that imagines that Godzilla's kind of waving his arm in front of Obsidian's face, being like, "Can you see me?" Hello? just like kind of waving his arm back and forth comically.
Yeah. Lava leaking out of its joints and mouth. A trio of horns tipped its head, and its tail ended in a split, like a shark's. Godzilla had fought many strange beasts, and this thing was no exception. Pass.
Oh boy. Krystalak charged at Godzilla and tackled him to the ground, jumping on top of him and slashing at him with his razor-sharp claws. Godzilla blasted Krystalak off of him, sending the strange creature to the earth. Not anywhere else. Before Godzilla could return to his feet, however, Space Godzilla landed on top of him, planting his feet right into Godzilla's stomach. Molten hot blood splashed from Godzilla's mouth as Space Godzilla an evil cackle. Roaring furiously, Godzilla unleashed a powerful blast of his heat ray at Space Godzilla, sending him toppling to the streets. I've once again proven why he needs to work on his legwork. As Godzilla got back to his feet, Obsidius rushed him, slamming his powerful fists into Godzilla's face and knocking a few teeth out. Godzilla responded with a blast of crimson radiation, sending Obsidius to the ground. Godzilla stomped the stone creature several times, rocky chunks breaking away from his body. He would stomp on a mud hole and walking it dry. Slamming his powerful tail into the molten monster, Godzilla turned around and fired another beam at Space Godzilla, who again blocked it with his crystal shield. In a flash of light, Space Godzilla transformed into his flying form and ran away, unleashing a barrage of Corona beams. Godzilla roared in pain as a jagged bolt struck his body, one blasting him right in his face and wounding his eyes. Space Godzilla an evil shriek as he enjoyed Godzilla's suffering. As his eyes healed, Godzilla saw that Space Godzilla landed near the tower again. Godzilla started to approach his intergalactic counterpart, only to be cut off by Krystalak. How rude. Space Godzilla went to strike him, only to have Krystalak turn around and let Godzilla's fist connect with his crystal spikes. Godzilla howled out as he held his bleeding hand. Yep, that's a sentence. Krystalak jumped up and drop-kicked him in the face. This is pro wrestling. Okay. I'm going to bring that. Living Corpse loves his wrestling moves and his monster fights, doesn't he?
I think so. I feel pretty sure he does. So.
Then he got back to his feet and did a forward flip, hitting Godzilla in the face with his club of spikes at the end of his tail. No, I should have used the diamond of spikes. He would have gotten that. He would have gotten that full house in no time. Godzilla slashes claws across the fleshy parts of Krystalak's body, drawing blood. Roaring in rage, Krystalak shot a stream of energy from his mouth, exploding on impact. From what? Okay. Ignoring the pain, Godzilla returned fire with his own heat ray, while advancing towards the crystal creature. Krystalak gritted his teeth in pain before swinging around to stab his foe with his tail. But Godzilla reacted quickly, snatching it in his claws. Krystalak yelped in surprise as he was lifted into the air and then slammed into the ground. Godzilla repeated this maneuver several times while crystal shards shot off the tip of Krystalak's tail and exploded in his face. Why he didn't do that sooner? I don't know. Caught off guard, Godzilla took a step back and let go, allowing Krystalak to recover. Just want to point out, this whole time while Godzilla's up, lifting up and slamming him down, Obsidius and SpaceGodzilla's kind of watching.
Yeah, I know. That logic.
Minion number one, of course.
Before Godzilla, well, it makes sense. It makes sense because this is a living corpse match. SpaceGodzilla and Obsidian did tag in first. They're not the legal kaiju. Before Godzilla knew what was going on, he was lifted off his feet and into the air. Before he could react to his sudden flight, Godzilla fell from the sky, dumped onto his head. Darkness was all he saw after as unconsciousness claimed him. The end. SpaceGodzilla wins. The end. SpaceGodzilla roared in triumph as green lightning crackled out of his shoulder crystals. Using his gravity tornado, he lifted the unconscious Godzilla into the air once again and carried him towards a newly constructed crystalline prison. SpaceGodzilla could feel the energy radiating from the king of the monsters. What power! Such an irony that the strongest monster on the planet would become nothing more than a mere battery for him. Out of nowhere, RKO.
So, wait, did he just, what's it called, admit that he isn't the strongest monster on the planet?
Yeah, I guess SpaceGodzilla's like, yeah, I guess I'm not the strongest anymore. Out of nowhere, several blasts of RKO energy slammed into SpaceGodzilla, sending the crystal tower crashing into the ground. SpaceGodzilla flailed about as he tried to regain his wits. Where did that come from? Who did that? Using his telekinetic power as he pulled himself to his feet. Can he really not push him? Can he really not get up by himself?
I think this explains why SpaceGodzilla has a hard time walking. He relies way too much on telekinesis.
Yeah, because I'm actually one of Space.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm actually one of SpaceGodzilla. Can actually lift himself up under his own power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, SpaceGodzilla also gives himself headaches because he constantly has to use his telekinesis to lift himself up.
Well, don't you know they're bulky, not fat?
Yeah.
Don't you know this was when everyone thought SpaceGodzilla was really, really OP and overpowered. He was greeted by the silver metallic form of the Super Mechagodzilla. Not just Super Mechagodzilla, just the Super Mechagodzilla. Inside the cockpit, Godzilla's mechanical doppelganger to say that the crew of Super Mechagodzilla were not nervous about having to battle SpaceGodzilla would be a lie. How those filthy liars. To make matters worse, that even if they defeated the space monster, they would be freeing Godzilla, who threatened to cause damage far greater than any mere monster attack with his inevitable meltdown. So they decided to give up and leave. Krystalak and Obsidius were the crew's lowest priority, but they could still inflict serious damage to the mech if underestimated. Luckily, both Mechagodzilla and the Garuda have been refitted to withstand electromagnetic pulses, or else they wouldn't even be able to stay in the same area as SpaceGodzilla, let alone fight him, aka the bullshit excuse is why Mechagodzilla is actually in the match.
Pretty much. Well, actually, it wouldn't be too out of the question. They had to retrofit Mogira with the same resistance thing too, so... in the movie.
That's true, but that's true. So if that exact same reason was used now, would that still fly though?
I think that would still fly. Like, granted, it's been updated to where Mogiris specifically has that ability noted, but I do think you can sort of retrofit other mechas to be resistant to EMPs or whatever. I think.
Okay.
So.
But before either side can initiate an attack, golden spores fall from the sky like snowflakes. Each monster stopped what they were doing and watched the spores fall. Aside from Super Mechagodzilla stood there awkwardly. Well, think about it. Super Mechagodzilla can't really turn its head, so it's just kind of standing there staring. The pilots of Super
staring with his mouth
Mechagodzilla.
opening up randomly.
The pilots of Super Mechagodzilla and SpaceGodzilla felt dread grow in their stomachs, but couldn't help but feel wonder as well. Despite their violent and simple-minded nature, Obsidius and Krystalak seemed to admire the sight's beauty as well. It wasn't until they saw fear on their mouths' face that they began to share its feeling of dread. And pass. By the way, I think it's hilarious that SpaceGodzilla is afraid of Biolante and not Godzilla. Like, oh no, Biolante's here! What do we do?
It's a plant type, that's why he's scared.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Bug types are
Plant
weak,
beats rock.
bug types are super effective against psychic types.
And rock types.
And rock types. Oh no! Space Godzilla's like quad weaknesses then. Oh shit. Anyways, pass.
Wait, we're at a moment later, right?
Yeah, a moment later.
Okay.
Yeah.
A moment later, the spore stopped falling, disappearing into the ground. Godzilla's eyes shifted, waiting for the horror to attack him first with vine whips. Sure enough, the ground quaked and split apart as Biolante used Earthquake. Several vines shot out, heading directly for SpaceGodzilla, trying to use Vine Whip on him. They missed their target by mere inches, as he once again transformed and took to the sky, changing into a flying type. A cry of intense rage pierced the air, striking fear into all those who heard it, as a towering mass arose from the ground. Her giant, rose-like head snarling at the soaring SpaceGodzilla.
I believe I can fly like a Space Godzilla in the sky.
Biolante had come to rid the world of her quote-unquote brothers, and the threat they presented.
Does Biolante actually care about Godzilla or Space Godzilla at all?
No.
Probably not really.
No, I'm just thinking
I
that
don't-
when Space
I don't think
Godzilla
she
was
cares.
coming
I don't
down,
think
he
she
was
really.
like, hey.
Yeah, plot convenience.
I could see Biolante caring if Godzilla was burning somewhere near her, but other than that, I don't think she'd care that much. He
The
exists.
Earth and didn't say hi.
Yeah, you
didn't
didn't
say
see. You didn't stop by for those vegan cookies I baked. Your vegan cookies are trash. How dare you?
Yes, he didn't eat his trees, don't you know? Withdrawing his
I
flight.
wonder if Biolante's a vegan.
I don't know, but keep reading.
Or would she be anti-vegan because she's actually a plant?
Well, I don't know,
Wait,
but Nagoda,
What
keep
would
reading.
she's a plant, she's a human, and she's Godzilla at the same time. So, what does she eat?
Who knows? Who cares? Nagoda, keep reading.
Who cares?
Drawing the flight crystals. Space Godzilla landed not far away from Biolante, shooting a challenge. Super Mechagodzilla was the whole time firing and shocking it at the demon from behind him, because he was forgotten. And it split itself into Space Godzilla amount of electricity. As he tried pulling and twisting the cable out of his flesh. And there's a baby chick in my face right now, so I can't see my screen. Godzilla. As Space Godzilla tried to short-circuit the mighty machine, the crew refused to give up, and they were so close to killing him. Just like so that one time they shot Bakers. And I just lost my baby chick, so no.
Oh no! Chick down! Chick down!
That's under my leg. Okay. Okay, so Space Godzilla's eyes started to roll up into his skull as foam began forming within his mouth.
So
Seeing his master. Hey, wait, are they actually killing him right now?
They're gonna at this rate.
I guess he's too lazy to do anything. He's too lazy to move. Seeing his master under.
You can't telekinesis his way out of this one.
Well, to be fair, the shock anchors, those things are pretty lethal. So.
Seeing his master under attack, Obsidius charged, finally moving for once in the spewing lava all over the shock anger's cables. Moments, the molten spray had melted through the cables, cut off Mechagodzilla's attack. Not Orga. Obsidius sat next to Space Godzilla, panting like a good dog as he waited for his master to head him. With Space Godzilla down for the moment, Super Mechagodzilla turned its attention to Obsidius, firing its eyelids. As Obsidius fell back because he was a bad dog apparently, Krystalak advanced, beams at the mech. The tiny Wait, I thought it was a beam. Why is there crystals in the beam?
They're like tiny crystal shards inside the Krystalak's beam.
Yeah.
Okay. He would learn the hard way just what a mistake he had made, as Mechagodzilla's armor absorbed the energy and began to convert it into fuel for its ultimate weapon. A port split open on Mechagodzilla's stomach. The yellow beam was fired. The mana blast slammed into the crystalline creature, sending the beast.
Wait, is Mecha Gamera? You know what? I'm surprised they didn't do Mecha Gamera. I'm honest to God surprised they didn't do that.
The super. Okay, hold up. Roll that. Plasma grenade, right? Yeah, super.
Yeah.
No time in fighting. Full blast from the laser's anchor cannon set Obsidius, as the golem attempted to get back to his feet, causing him to stagger. Mechagodzilla turned on its rockets, boosted towards Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla staggered. This beam was nearly as strong as his brother's.
I think Space Godzilla is just I think Space Godzilla is a wimp because there is no way the Mega Boss was as strong as Burning Godzilla's Ray.
Oh no, not the
I don't know.
Think it is.
So either that or Space Godzilla has a really awful sense of scale.
Yeah.
Like if something actually hits him, he's like, "Oh, this must be as powerful as Godzilla's Ray." No.
I could believe the plasma grenade being that powerful, but
The
even
plasma grenade, yes. The Mega Buster, no.
Plasma grenade's a whole nother question there.
Oh yeah,
Plasma
definitely.
grenade's like a mana blast to the face, charged by.
Man.
I'm wondering now. What would happen if someone shot a blast at Super Mechagodzilla, only for Super Mechagodzilla to use it back against him? How strong would that plasma grenade be?
Oh gosh,
Probably about
if he could survive.
if Mechagodzilla could survive the actual blast, it probably survives. He probably could. You mean a full power mana blast?
Yeah.
It depends. That's actually a good question. Can Mechagodzilla's armor actually absorb energy, or just the? Can it actually stop the beam, doing any damage, or just?
It can absorb energy, but do understand there is a limit to it. Godzilla's spiral array was able to completely go through the armor.
Okay, so the mana blast might just punch through it.
Right, yeah. The mana blast probably just completely obliterate him. So.
Although I think it'd be hilarious if there was like a ping pong and volleyball. Gamera fires his fireball. Mechagodzilla absorbs it, fires a plasma grenade, but Gamera eats it and fires another volley.
Right.
Fireball. Just back and forth, back and forth.
Alright, but yeah, keep reading.
Space Godzilla fired his Corona beam at Mechagodzilla, who merely landed and started walking towards him, absorbing the blast, because this Godzilla can actually walk even on the robot. Space Godzilla started to panic, as he couldn't walk anywhere, he just stood around. Super Mechagodzilla unleashed an all-out assault at the Crystal King. Eye lasers, the Mega Buster, Garuda Cannon, and Plasma Grenade Blast were fired over and over.
Can this Mechagodzilla actually walk?
Yeah, he can walk.
Oh, okay. I just don't remember Super Mechagodzilla actually walking.
Well, like Mechagodzilla, yeah, Mechagodzilla probably by extension Super Mechagodzilla can walk for sure.
Okay, because I know he moves about as fast.
Floats more often.
He's just extremely slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure even Space Godzilla could outpace him if he tried hard enough.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Space Godzilla quickly raised a shield to defend himself, deflecting some of the beams and sending them back at Mechagodzilla, hitting the machine with intense force. forcing it to dig its feet into the ground lest it be sent soaring. This only added more fuel grenade, making it even more powerful. Now I'm just imagining the plasma grenade shooting is bouncing off his shield, going back to the plasma grenade, which is shooting even more now.
I'm
Godzilla
pretty
began
sure
to
at this.
panic.
I'm pretty sure at this point, Space Godzilla's shield should have been broken. Like, I know Space Godzilla's still tough, but I'm pretty sure even it has its limits.
Wait, does it only blocks energy attacks, right?
Yeah.
So if someone just runs up and punches him, it'd go right through his shield.
I guess, yeah.
Good question, actually. That's a good question.
Is the plasma grenade actually an energy blast though?
Oh yeah, plasma grenade's definitely like an energy beam for sure.
It's made out of plasma, so it's pretty sure it is.
Let's not get
It's
too
in the
scientific,
name.
folks.
Hold up, one more question. Would the absolute zero cannon go through Space Godzilla's shield?
It's technically energy, so.
Okay,
Would
it's
it freeze
technically
his
energy.
shield?
But
It could,
also,
yeah.
But it also kind of freezes
Yeah,
the
see,
first thing it comes. Well, huh.
Yeah, see? This is kind of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll go over that later for sure.
Okay, later. We'll save that for behind the scenes.
Yes. He lacked the sufficient energy to keep. Stop pecking my arm, you chick. Okay. He lacked the sufficient
That's
energy
not
to
in the
keep
match.
his
Wait a
shut up.
minute.
Sure enough, it faded away. And Space Godzilla was bombarded by the impressive arsenal of Super Mechagodzilla. Suddenly,
The Super Mechagodzilla.
a red spiral ray hit Mechagodzilla in the chest, causing it to stagger back. As Biolante just watched and ate popcorn because she forgot to do anything else, apparently.
I guess she's just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably just sitting there petting the dogs, Obsidius and Krystalak.
Yeah.
Space Godzilla turned around to see Godzilla, his body glowing an even brighter red than before. Because Rodan probably threw him
Oh
into
yeah,
an
Godzilla's in this match, isn't he?
Yep.
Yes, of course. He probably fell into another volcano, didn't he?
He fell to the volcano.
His temperature had actually become high enough to melt through the crystals restraining him. Space Godzilla looked further back. Sure enough, the crystals that were holding Godzilla had huge chunks melted out of them, glowing a bright red and dripping like candle wax. That must be some pretty weak crystal then, I guess.
Oh, or a lot of
Thinking
heat.
Space Godzilla's attention was focused on Godzilla, Super Mechagodzilla fired another plasma grenade at the Kaiju's backside, hitting him in the ass. Because he's floating right now, so it's pretty sure it's a lot easier. The mech's pilots couldn't believe it when another shield was brought up behind Super Space Godzilla, reflecting the beam back at them. The crew had no time to try and absorb the blast as its power Godzilla crashing to the ground, unable to move. Wait, isn't the absorbing thing automatic?
I could have sworn it was more automatic-ish. Though I think
It's
it
auto-
can be redirected.
Did it get melted off already?
I don't think so.
No. It's automatic. I think it's automatic, but if they need power with a specific weapon, or for some reason, but if they need to use the power for something else, I think they have the option, but they usually don't take it because it feeds directly into the plasma grenade. But I think if they actually need the power for something else, they can do that. That's my reasoning. Because if not, they're making shit up. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think that's the case. So.
Okay. The pilots of the super robot were frantic as they tried to make quick repairs so you can get Mechagodzilla working again. Biolante, meanwhile, attacked Obsidius and Krystalak with her spear-like vines and massive jaws. There's a baby chick on the mic right now. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Before either one of them.
Oh my goodness.
Really, man, I think it's the first time chicks are actually excited for a KWC match.
I mean, on my neck right now, so wait, where was I at? Biolante, right?
Before either one could launch a counterattack.
Okay, before either one could launch a counterattack, several of Biolante's vines punched into Obsidius' right arm at the shoulder as she used what move is this going to be called? Ingrain. Not ingrain. Leech seed. There you go. After the fourth vine struck, Obsidius' arm gave way and fell off. A fountain of hot magma gushing from its socket. Krystalak rushed in, but Biolante opened her gigantic mouth and bit down on the crystal beast, using a bite as she lifted him into the air with her fanged mouth. Unable to break, Flack used focused energy and channeled a large amount of energy into time slowed back, knowing what was about to happen. Suddenly, a shockwave of intense energy and light went everywhere and blasted Krystalak free of Biolante's massive mouth. A good chunk of her head off in the process as Krystalak used overheat. Or explosion. Biolante fell to the ground as her body slowly began the process of regenerating using ingrain. With Biolante momentarily hey, she was taking care of the dogs apparently.
Yeah, she was.
Just that one of them decided to explode.
Yeah.
With Biolante momentarily taken out of the fight, SpaceGodzilla's minions charged Godzilla. The king of the monsters, a powerful heat rays at the two, blasting their tough mineral behind them. Biolante, having recovered enough to continue her assault, charged SpaceGodzilla, destroying several of his crystals as she stampeded towards her little brother.
Well, so much
Stampede!
so much for being taken out of the fight.
Yep,
She goes right back into it.
she's still angry.
Yeah.
She's still staying angry at him for not saying hi, so...
Yeah.
Listen, this
Space
is what
Godzilla
happens
tried
when
slowing-
this is what happens when Space Godzilla insults a vegan pizza. No matter how awful it is.
Yeah, she's too busy eating it with Batra, who died.
Again.
Yes. SpaceGodzilla tried slowing her down, holding his hands up as he used his Corona beam, but she just kept regenerating and charging forward, angry at him. Several vines shot out of the ground and snared him using Leech Seed again. Godzilla shrieked in agony as one of them punched through his right shoulder crystal, shattering it into thousands of tiny shards. Several more popped up, opening their pod-like mouths, and began using the move Acid over his torso. The acid was eating away at his flesh, but the damage would not last, thanks to regeneration. I guess he's using Recover. The crystal armor underneath his skin, however, was a different story altogether, as the acid destroyed the armor in mere moments. Regenerating flesh was easy, but rebuilding his crystal armor took time, and right now, time wasn't on his side.
It was on
Man,
Godzilla's.
Time must really hate SpaceGodzilla.
Yes.
Time and
Okay.
gravity, because he's defying gravity right now.
I would love to have a match that's literally just called Time vs. Space Godzilla.
SpaceGodzilla shot a flurry of Corona beams at Biolante's vines, freeing himself from the leech seed. He was enraged. How could his plans go so wrong so quickly? He began using the move rage. He had Godzilla where he wanted, but now it was ruined by a fellow clone, along with the humans and their machines and their mechanical clone. No, he controlled everything. He will make out and take over the universe, and will start playing by his pawns against one another. He's a horrible person right there, man. Using his own
Listen,
pawns
this is what
against
he
each
gets
other.
for starting with the invasion with Canada.
He stared at Biolante, who stared. If looks could kill, then SpaceGodzilla would have felt a million daggers stabbing him as she glared at him. What is it with monsters seeing Biolante staring at them and feeling a million daggers?
I guess Biolante's just a really intimidating gal.
When we read the Grand Kingdom Mass, the same thing happened, didn't it?
I think it's because Biolante's physical one is a little more larger kaiju.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So she's actually able to tower over someone and glare at them as opposed to someone else.
Oh yeah, totally.
He didn't know how, but he just knew that, just like Godzilla, they were somehow related. It might have been the giant crocodile
Alright.
mouth, or
Might
the
have-
instantly regenerating tendrils.
Or I'm pretty sure there's actual instincts in their DNA that tells them, hey, you're kind of related.
He knew this, and he knew she did as well. Such a pity that she wanted to kill both of them.
Man, what a buzzkill she is. Wanted to slaughter them both for some reason.
I mean, Godzilla probably burnt her garden, and SpaceGodzilla never visits, so she just went to go drag them back home.
You know what? I think it'd be pretty great if literally like halfway during the match, they just stop and one of the monsters goes, "Wait, why are you doing this?" And then the monster just stops and has to think for a moment.
Right.
I now have 2 baby chicks living on me. This is calming, I guess.
Are you a mother hen now? Are we gonna have to try to go to later?
Oh no, it fell off. Okay. That's fine. Okay. I think it just on me. But SpaceGodzilla fired his gravity tornado. I'm right there, yeah? Yeah. SpaceGodzilla fired his gravity tornado to Biolante. Both the plant monster and the world were stunned as SpaceGodzilla accomplished what was thought to be the impossible. Biolante was lifted high into the sky before SpaceGodzilla ceased feeding his tornadoes his energy, and let the massive monster fall to the ground with an earth-shattering crash.
Wow, those chicks are really excited for that scene. I can't blame them. It's pretty good.
Are they the world that was shocked?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Because
Yeah,
because it says the world. I'm just imagining you mean like Mechagodzilla?
Baby chicks. The world of baby
Is someone
chicks
recording this or something? Is someone recording the fight then? Because otherwise, the only witnesses that are gonna say is this Mechagodzilla.
Honestly, I'm kind of
You know,
shocked there's
wait.
any.
It's just those looters in business. I mean, they're just recording this on
And
their
the mentally insane.
Yeah, and the mentally insane are cheering for whoever they for.
For some reason, they were just left there. I guess.
Yeah.
Go giant tree dinghy.
Go!
Okay, but Super Mechagodzilla was about to get back to its feet after the crew finally got it working again. When SpaceGodzilla dropped out of the sky and landed on top, knowing how fat it is, he couldn't even hold himself up anymore.
Body slam.
Then Grand King Ghidorah SpaceGodzilla for trying to say he picked up Biolante first when actually it was Grand King Ghidorah.
Technically speaking, yeah, actually.
Biolante recovered from her fall, crawled out of the crater she had made on impact. SpaceGodzilla taunted her as she drew near, using... It's a good move. So, Biolante glared at her as he approached. Invincible. She would prove him wrong. Dead wrong. Red energy traveled up from her stomach. Longer. He needed to time this just right. SpaceGodzilla took to the sky just as Biolante spit out her acid sap and sent several of her spirited vines out. I guess there goes this guy. Super Mechagodzilla got up only to be hit by the acid. Special diamond coating began being slowly eaten away. The metal underneath was also slowly melting, and the vines punching through the armor were leaking acid blood into the robot. Mechagodzilla began to steam and cry out for help as he was dying from acid.
Help!
Mistaking this as a sign of hostility towards them, the crew had Super Mechagodzilla open fire with all of his weapons left.
So I just want to point. I'm just going to bring this up. But Super Mechagodzilla is not going to deal with Biolante if Godzilla and SpaceGodzilla were dealt with.
Maybe they would. I don't know.
Cause you think Biolante showing up that'd be like, okay, now we have 3 monsters to deal with 2.
Right.
Remember the last time Biolante showed up in front of a G-Force armor? They were super mad.
Mm-hmm.
Some poor crewman got thrown around like a ragdoll all the time. It was really tragic.
Yeah, his name was Shinjo.
Poor Shinjo.
Yes, Shinjo.
Down the shaft you go, Shinjo toss.
Yeah.
The metal underneath. Wait, was that where I was at?
Yep.
Mechagodzilla began to steam. Mistaking this as a sign of hostility towards them, I'm pretty sure I already read this. The crew had Super Mechagodzilla open fire with all its weapons.
Yeah, open all fire with all its weapons.
Yeah, we're good now. Just keep going.
They're good?
The much weaker.
Hey, read again for Biolante retaliated.
What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I just didn't catch the words you said there.
Oh, because there's kind of
What?
a baby chick sleeping on the microphone right now.
Oh, jeez.
Where do you want me to start at?
Biolante retaliated.
Mistaking that. Biollante retaliated.
Okay, Biolante retaliated by having more pud to provide wrap on the machine and spray more Garuda on its back was racked as much as the much weaker NT1 armor was being melted. With the diamond coating gone, Mechagodzilla by energy attacks. SpaceGodzilla shot several of his crew marks on Meltdown's back.
See this machine isn't Super Mechagodzilla anymore because Garuda's been damaged.
Of course.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's the only reason why it's called Super Mechagodzilla. You know that.
Yeah. Hey, you can probably pass on to Alex
You know what?
now.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
because
that's
I can pass.
I
Alex?
think I was gonna say.
Oh, where are we at?
gonna say.
Godzilla
Godzilla
slammed his
slammed
fist in
his fist.
Krystalak's chest.
Okay.
I heard that, Alex. You were so. I saw. Did you actually fall asleep? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
He's
Not
just
really.
like these
No.
baby chicks. Hey, stop.
I'm already kind of getting bored of this match.
Stop.
Oh, he pooped on me.
All right.
So did Alex poop on you like the baby chicks?
Godzilla slammed his fist into Krystalak's chest again and again. Godzilla struck, causing fractions to form. Krystalak summoned the energy in his heart and created an energy pulse that sent Godzilla staggering back. Obsidius ran forward and, with his only remaining arm, grabbed the Monster King by the throat and roared in his face before slamming him face first in his feet. Face first into the ground. Godzilla grabbed him by the ankles and pulled him, tripping the molten elemental at the same time he got back to his feet. Krystalak jumped up, elbowing Godzilla in the face and landed with a series of hisses that sounded like mocking laughter. After recovering, Godzilla quickly advanced on Krystalak and thrust his face towards the crystal monster's headbutting him. The blow was so intense that Krystalak's crystal face had dozens of tiny fractures on it as he stumbled back. Obsidius had gotten up by this point and spilled a stream of lava from his mouth, but to his horror, Godzilla just ignored the liquid magma as he swung his tail onto Obsidius' head, once again grounding him and this time knocking him out cold. Godzilla closed in on Krystalak and slashed at him with his claws, sparks flying everywhere. Krystalak splashed back at him, molten blood flying everywhere.
Oh, you sound so enthused.
I'm already bored of this match.
Why do you keep showing up? You're always bored with the matches.
It's just the long ones, really.
Yes, of course.
Krystalak jumped up and slammed his tail into Godzilla's face like a club. Godzilla punched Krystalak several times, then grabbed him and tossed him through the air. Godzilla's spines glowed and almost blood red before he unleashed another spiral heat ray. Krystalak let out a shrill scream of pain as he felt his flesh being burned and his crystals exploded. He crawled onto his hind legs and ran at Godzilla, summoning the strength for another energy pulse. If he was going to die, then he would take Godzilla with him. No, he won't. Godzilla punched the beast in his weakened chest again. Relentless last. Relentless last.
Aye! Scottish Godzilla.
Krystalak panicked as he tried to fight back, trying to buy himself enough time to get one more pulse off, but with one more powerful punch, Godzilla's hand was now inside his chest. Krystalak screamed in agony, a scream that was cut short as Godzilla withdrew his hand, ripping out the strange creature's crystalline heart as he went. Krystalak fell to the ground, flailing around wildly before finally curling up into a ball. The beast was dead. Godzilla looked at the heart for a moment before he threw it inside, or out the side. Obsidius, regained conscious, punching Godzilla, let out a roar of rage to let his presence be known. He wanted to scare the beast, but he wanted to be afraid of him. But Godzilla stared back at him, unimpressed and more agitated that this beast thought it stood a chance against him. Obsidius was rage. Who did this monster think he was? King of the monsters? Obviously. Yeah.
What a stupid assessment, King of the Monsters.
He unleashed torrent of lava, but Godzilla ignored the pain, the attack's heat paling in comparison to that of his current state. Godzilla's lips curled. He will show this beast true hellfire. His spines once again flashed as he unleashed a powerful spiral ray. The red beam with spiraling lightning slammed into Obsidius and forced him to backpedal. Obsidius was in shock. The plasma was so intense that it actually succeeded in melting part of his outer rock layer. Obsidius jumped in front of Godzilla and backhanded him with his remaining arm. Then he kicked him in the stomach, the blow causing the Monster King to stumble back. Obsidius wasn't finished yet as he rammed his shoulder into Godzilla's, then slammed his fist onto Godzilla's head, causing the atomic mutation to fall over. Obsidius curb stomped Godzilla several times before turning around and slamming his shark-like tail to him over and over. Finally, the Bolton monster turned around to see his handiwork. He was satisfied to see Godzilla lying on the ground unmoving. That is until Godzilla woke up. Obsidius looked on in fear and shock as he saw Godzilla rise with an almost bored look onto his face. Hey, that's me!
You are Godzilla.
His attack seemed to annoy him more than it hurt him. In retaliation, Obsidius curled up into a ball and rolled towards Godzilla, slamming into him. But to his horror, Godzilla's claws managed to grasp the rolling mass, slowing it down until it stopped moving completely, then threw him to the ground. Godzilla stomped on living inferno. Obsidius responded by reverting back to humanoid form and spitting lava into his eyes. Godzilla screamed as his eyes burned. Obsidius moved to punch. Obsidius moved to punch Godzilla, only to have every strike blocked. Obsidius shrieked in surprise what was going on. Godzilla could not see, but he could still hear. He grabbed Obsidius' tail and spun the two of them around in circles before letting go. Obsidius tried to stop the momentum, caused him to run himself into a building. Godzilla fired another blast, apparently, before his eyes even recovered and scored a direct hit. Obsidius screamed out in anger and pain once again. Godzilla's eyes finally regenerated, and he advanced on Obsidius as he returned to his feet. The molten beast screamed in pain as Godzilla struck him again and again, breaking away chunks from his body, but despite the damage he was causing, Godzilla wasn't satisfied. He decided to conduct energy into his claws, punching the golem again and again. This time, red lightning traveled over Obsidius' body, and even larger chunks were torn from him. The monster screamed even louder before he vomited forth another stream of lava. Godzilla still wasn't satisfied as he tried to find a faster plan of killing Obsidius. He pushed the kaiju to the ground to buy himself time with a new plan. He spotted Krystalak's heart not too far away. He remembered how the heart would create an energy pulse if given enough power. He made his way to the heart and picked it up, conducting even more power from his hands to feel the heart. Obsidius got back to his feet and ran at Godzilla, who had back-turned him. The stone creature was about to strike when Godzilla's tail knocked him back. Godzilla turned, and before the beast could react, Godzilla shoved Krystalak's heart into his own mouth. Obsidius punched and kicked at Godzilla, trying to spit the heart back out, but Godzilla held his hand over his mouth. Behind the energy of Godzilla's runaway radiation, and Obsidius' burning hot insides charged the heart until it did what it always did when Krystalak gave too much energy. Bright light began to shine from the racks in Obsidius' rocky skin. Moments later, the crystal heart exploded, destroying Obsidius in powerful blasts. As the smoke cleared, rocks and lava rained everywhere. His molten foe finally destroyed. Godzilla got back to his feet and looked on in the distance as his clones and the machine fought. Godzilla growled. 2 down, 3 more to go. Yeah, that's me.
I was fully expecting Godzilla just to chuck it like a grenade. Grenade! Woo!
Anyway, pass.
Alright. Super Mechagodzilla fired his Mega Buster at Biolante as she impaled SpaceGodzilla's right arm with her vines. SpaceGodzilla fired a barrage of his Corona beams at both of them and severed the vines. Suddenly, there was a large explosion. Everyone stopped fighting and looked at where the blast had come from. The city was on fire and rising up, looking like the devil himself. Looking like the devil himself was Godzilla. He was getting closer and closer to reaching Meltdown and growing more powerful by the minute. He turned around, spotted the others, and walked towards them, steam rising off as he had walked out of hell itself. The glowing red patches of skin were almost hypnotic due to the sharp contrast of night. Super Mechagodzilla fired its Mega Buster. Godzilla's reflex had had him fire a spiral array in defense. The two incredibly powerful energy streams collided in midair. Mechagodzilla poured more energy to its beam, pushing Godzilla's back. Then Godzilla fed more energy to his, forcing his beam closer and closer until the Mega Buster and Spiral Ray were shoved into Mechagodzilla's mouth, causing a massive explosion. Mechagodzilla fell over. Several vines stabbed into Godzilla, injecting acid into his flesh, while a stream of acid rained down on him. Godzilla's eyes burned. The acid in his blood burned for a short while, but the high temperature of his body boiled and broke it down. The vines and pods ignited just from touching his body for too long. Godzilla fired a blast of blood-red energy from of his mouth. Interesting.
Alright.
Right down Biolante's open maw. She ceased using her acid and screamed. Suddenly, Godzilla was lifted off his feet again as SpaceGodzilla used his gravity tornado to lift him high into the air. SpaceGodzilla morphed his flying from, and like a wrecking ball from
That's
the
flying
cosmos.
from.
Yeah, he scrapped into the back of Biolante's head, making her face plant
like a wrecking ball.
making her face plant into the ground and ripping chunks of flesh from the back of her head. Space Godzilla slammed Godzilla several times and fired his Corona beam at him wildly. Godzilla could do nothing but fire his beam at his captor, but Space Godzilla ignored the streams of nuclear plasma even as they took flesh from him with every blast. Godzilla's suffering was more important to him than his own. I'm pretty sure that would be than his own, but I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Shrug.
He was about to impale Godzilla on his spiked tail and deliver the killing blow when something crashed into him, causing him to lose his concentration, cut off power, being feed to his gravity tornadoes. Space Godzilla morphed his land from and as soon as he hit ground. He got to his feet and looked around.
All these Space Godzilla froms are really starting to get confusing, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. All the Space Godzilla, like the land froms and the flying froms, it's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that.
Well, don't forget that's also the story is from. There's the microscopic from. There's the juvenile from.
The aggregate from, the flying from, and the final
And
from.
the final from.
Of course.
This is even my final from.
He got to his feet and looked around while the entire city shook as Godzilla crashed to the ground. Space Godzilla spotted Super Mechagodzilla. Oh, hey, look, he's still Super Mechagodzilla. Just as he
he should be. Oh, so I guess he got the Garuda back.
Yeah, just as it used its boosters to body
never left
slam
his
him.
bag. It's just crashed, isn't it?
The Garuda was just more eaten away, but it's not like gone.
I mean, it's still
I think it's like
connected.
this big twisted hunk of metal that Mechagodzilla for some reason just don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. The machine, now rusty from
It's probably
Biolante.
melted to him.
Right. It'd be more melted
It's
to him.
melted
if
to him.
anything. Yeah. The machine, now rusty from Biolante's acid, delivered a series of punches to Space Godzilla. The super robot was in no way made for hand-to-hand combat. Its movements were slow and clumsy, but they were powerful enough to knock the breath out of Space Godzilla. The crew wasn't planning on killing him in melee combat. Rather, they were keeping the evil beast distracted so he didn't bring up his crystal shield. Space Godzilla fired his Corona beams without its diamond coating. Mechagodzilla now took damage from the beams, though they still fueled its main weapon. Mechagodzilla fired a plasma grenade that sent Space Godzilla soaring before he crashed into a building and was buried under thousands of tons of steel and concrete. Godzilla had
corrupt businessman.
Yeah. Godzilla had gotten back to his feet by this time and fired a powerful crimson beam at the robot. The blast caused one of Mechagodzilla's arms and the Garuda cannons to break off, as well as resulted in the loss of one of its eye lasers. In retaliation, the crew unleashed an all-out assault. Eye laser, singular, Garuda cannon, singular, Mega Buster, plasma grenade, and the remaining
Singular. Plasma grenade, singular.
Yeah.
And shock anchor, singular.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. I thought they were both. Never mind. The remaining shock anchor.
No, one.
Or was it just one?
Bounced off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because one bounced off his crystal.
I
I can't remember. Anyway, the remaining shock anchor and several paralysis missiles slammed into
Singular.
Godzilla's body, knocking him down. Super Mechagodzilla turned around and fired another assault at SpaceGodzilla, who had just managed to get up from the rubble he was buried in only a few seconds ago, and was once again knocked down, wrecked. The shock anchor kept zapping Godzilla in the chest until the cable burned and snapped away from Godzilla's burning hot flesh. Mechagodzilla turned around and spotted Biolante, who was still trying to recover from being shot in the mouth by Godzilla. Jeez, girl, she's kicking. The anti-kaiju weapon opened...
she does want to kill both her brothers, so she has to keep going.
Anger is the best motivator. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
The anti-kaiju weapon opened fire on Biolante with everything it had. Biolante wailed out. She was in too much pain to fight back. The force of the plasma grenade was so intense that it was actually pushing Biolante. Which, yeah, that is a thing it can do. It can actually push monsters around.
Good job.
Wait, can Biolante just hide underground? Can't she do that?
I don't know.
She could, but that's not interesting.
Yeah. The massive plant monster slid along the pavement as if on ice. Suddenly, a cluster of crystal spikes exploded forth from Mechagodzilla's stomach. The crew was so focused on killing Biolante that SpaceGodzilla had managed to sneak up from behind and impale the mechanical doppelganger of Godzilla with his tail. SpaceGodzilla lifted the machine.
This is just further proof that giant monsters are pretty much freaking ninjas.
Yeah!
Seriously, how can they be so quiet and know how awful is everyone's peripheral vision? They can't notice these giant monsters until it's too late.
To be
No,
fair,
there's
SpaceGodzilla has
They
telekinesis.
never, the Mutos are, okay, I love the one time they have a good reason is the Mutos with the EMP pulse. That is the only actual explanation we get as to why they suddenly can't be seen.
Yeah. SpaceGodzilla lifted the machine high into the air with his tail alone, then spun around and tossed the machine through the air. When Super Mechagodzilla hit the ground, the Garuda fell off its back. The locking mechanisms failing after being eroded by Biolante's acid, finally.
That took a while to melt, didn't it?
Oh yeah. Not everything's immediate, you know. A malfunction caused its engines to roar to life, and Garuda flew right into the open mouth of Biolante. The genetic monster bit down on the giant aircraft and shook it violently before throwing it aside, where it crashed.
Like a dog.
Yeah, kind of like a dog. Where it crashed headfirst into the ground and exploded. The pilot died instantly. Sucks to be him.
Is the pilot still in Garuda when it merges with Mechagodzilla? Or
It can be. It can be. But the pilot can also leave the Garuda and still, and like I guess like the guys controlling Mechagodzilla can control the Garuda too. It's kind of weird.
Because I don't see a reason why the pilot of the Garuda would be sitting in the Garuda if it's with Mechagodzilla.
I mean, I guess just in like
It seems
like
it seems kind of
like it was trying to do
see what I'm trying to say
in case
here?
it needed to detach.
Oh, just in case it needs to detach. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, exactly. So, because it's not like the Garuda can fly without a pilot, you know.
No, I know.
So,
Actually, can the Garuda take off while attached to Mechagodzilla for any reason?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
If it's
Damn.
Yeah, the Garuda is something that's like it can be controlled once it's connected to Mechagodzilla, but I would assume that to separate it would need a pilot. So
Okay, like I don't know. It might just already has a pilot, but it takes off. Can it actually take off while still connected to Mechagodzilla? It doesn't need to go to the specific transformation.
I think it probably needs to go through a specific transformation, I'd imagine, but
Okay,
probably.
Just
Safety
getting that out of the
precautions, I
way.
imagine.
like unless they're just because if they do that, they're just gonna mess up and just make Mechagodzilla just fly into the air.
Right.
That would be hysterical, though.
Like he's pushing all the buttons, trying to get off, and then you just see Mechagodzilla just start shooting.
That would be a really interesting malfunction to have in a match where the actual undocking sequence fails and Gru just takes off with Mechagodzilla.
Oh my goodness, that'd be crazy. But anyway,
So they have to like steer Mechagodzilla around in the air, trying to aim all its lasers and missiles.
jeez.
I think that sounds great.
Oh, jeez. Biolante ensnared Mechagodzilla with her vines, lifting it up as she began to spray her acid. The machine couldn't do anything. All the crew members were either dead or out cold. They would be joining their comrade. Biolante bit down on the head, tugging and pulling it until it was ripped off. She spat it out and stabbed the body with dozens of her spear-tipped vines. One of them hit Mechagodzilla's reactor, causing a massive explosion. The super robot was no more. Biolante roared a cry of victory. She turned to look at SpaceGodzilla. SpaceGodzilla waved for her to attack. For a moment, neither moved. Only the sound that could be heard was the sound of buildings burning, people screaming, and Godzilla.
The you know, like those insane maniac people screaming.
Yeah, and Godzilla. Did we forget about him? Okay.
Again?
Who?
Suddenly, Biolante's eyes widened, and SpaceGodzilla realized that she was looking behind him. He turned and saw a devil he had hoped was dead when Mechagodzilla attacked. Burning Godzilla pulled what remained of the shock anger from his chest. It was now a war between the three Godzillas: Biolante, SpaceGodzilla, and Godzilla himself.
Now they just need Junior and Legendary.
Yeah, they just need Junior. They just need Minya. They need Legendary. I think this is a war between all the Godzillas.
Yeah.
They get
That is true.
healed
Orga.
Kiryu and Mechagodzilla Heisei and Mechagodzilla Showa.
And Orga.
You're right.
Yes, and
That's a good
Orga.
point. And Orga.
Well,
Godzilla.
Mecha
And
Garrett count too.
Godzillasaurus.
Yeah, of course. Godzilla looked at his clones, his glowing red eyes burning with rage and hatred for them. Biolante looked at her brothers with disgust. Two of them had defiled the earth long enough. Or the two of them had defiled the earth long enough. She was going to kill them and free the world from all the death and suffering they have caused over the years, once and for all. Despite the fact that Biolante also defiled the earth because she's a genetic freak. Anyway.
I was gonna say, doesn't Biolante killed a few people?
One, I think she might have killed a few people. Unsure.
No, I'm almost positive. Well, her body counts low. I'm pretty sure she has killed people.
Killed that Ceridian agent.
Yeah.
True. But he was a bad guy. He doesn't count.
She did. The Biomajor agents, actually.
Yeah, so you're that's kind of the pot calling the pot kettle black there, aren't you, Biolante?
Well, she's also a genetic freak, so, she's also just as defiling to the earth as SpaceGodzilla and Godzilla are.
By the way, was this ever in character with Biolante to suddenly give a shit about Godzilla and SpaceGodzilla defiling the earth?
I think the idea was just supposed to be like, oh, she's like this weird nature-loving
Thing.
hippie, but I don't.
She's a hippie.
But,
She holds up a vine.
Fighting for a spot on
Holds
my
up a
face right
vine
now.
with a peace logo.
right?
Hey man, hey SpaceG, we should just have a relaxing vacation in Canada, man. Why you gotta take over the world with your crystals, dude?
Yeah. SpaceGodzilla looked at his siblings with envy and hate. As long
They-
as Godzilla was alive,
Yeah,
he-
Biolante has a D at the end of her name, apparently. If you look at that word up there.
Wait, what?
Biolante.
Wait, oh yeah, Biolante!
Biolante! Oh, I missed that.
Biolante, yeah!
Yeah, Biolante looked at her brothers with disgust.
Oh god. This is before. This is
I also
before
like
we
how-
had- This was before we. This is before Matt had to go through like 3 people just before it was posted, right?
Yep. So,
Great.
Space Godzilla looked at his. Oh, okay, blah, blah. As long as Godzilla was alive, he could never be his own monster. He was feared, but not for who he is, but for what he is. A clone of the most powerful monster on Earth. As far as everyone was concerned, he was just a clone with extra powers. He was stuck living in his shadow. He would never be free until Godzilla died. Even Biolante was looked as her own monster because she managed to fight Godzilla to a standstill.
Did she really?
Kinda in a way, but honestly, Godzilla.
Kinda, but
he
not
was
really.
drugged up.
Honestly, like
He
kinda.
was drugged up.
Yeah.
Space Godzilla
Godzilla's drunk.
put up more of a fight than Biolante did, though.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Space Godzilla kind of put up a lot more of a fight than Biolante did. Like, SpaceGodzilla had a mecha that was stronger than Mechagodzilla and Godzilla to take him out.
And apparently
Biolante
they
was
fought. Apparently they were fighting for a ridiculously long time.
oh yeah, they fought for a while. So
Which I'm actually kind of impressed Mogera lasted that long. Actually, come to think of it,
Gamera.
definitely.
it's really impressive. Because I don't think because I think because it has to like have power and stuff like that. So props to Mogera for being able to stay at pretty much maximum efficiency for so long.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, yeah, we're supposed to be doing SpaceGodzilla's edgy identity crisis or something.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
SpaceGodzilla wouldn't stop until he had killed them both and finished his quest of taking over the universe. Burning Godzilla roared, daring them to attack first, daring them to defy his authority as the king. For the first time, both of his clones shook in fear and hesitated. The tables had turned. Before, they always had the upper hand on Godzilla. Their upper hand, and Godzilla was the underdog. Things had changed now. Godzilla had joined their ranks and become a super monster, just like they were. Now, nothing short of
I
his
came
own...
and killed them all.
Yeah. Now, nothing short of his... Now, nothing short of his own meltdown would kill him. There was no telling who would leave this fight alive, or if anyone would survive at all. But what was known is that this fight will go down in history as hell on Earth. Pass.
So I want to point. Oh, okay, thank you. But I just want to point out. So this whole time, this guy's basically, the author is basically saying, yeah, but unless Godzilla was an embodiment, there's no way he could take out Biolante or SpaceGodzilla.
Oh God, why won't this end?
This is the match that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends.
This is why I had this.
We've been here for over an hour now.
Yeah, like I said, 7,000 words. It takes us well over an hour to read. And
I can't wait till we get to 190. That's gonna be a novel.
Oh gosh, nah, man.
We've read a
164.
lot. 164, God.
The longest match, 164. It's gonna be horrible.
That's apparently I won't. I'm gonna say that's gonna change real soon. The ground. Okay. The ground shook as if alive when Biolante charged forward, her head low to the ground. SpaceGodzilla and Godzilla fired their beams, but she just kept coming. Biolante lifted her head up, smacking it against SpaceGodzilla. The space monster was powerless as he went flying to the air and crashed down behind her. Biolante bit down on Godzilla and tried to wrench his head off. Rising back to his feet, SpaceGodzilla fired several corona beams that stabbed and exploded into her flesh. Several vines stabbed into SpaceGodzilla, leaking acid into his body. Several pod-tipped vines bit down on his arms and legs, trying to restrain him. Godzilla fired a beam into Biolante's mouth, forcing her to let go as he backpedaled. Wait. As he backpedaled? Wait. You all see this, right?
Wait, where are we? Back.
Godzilla fired a beam into Biolante's mouth, forcing her to let go as he backpedaled. I think Alex just
I'm
left.
trying to find this right now.
Alex left!
Oh.
Poor Alex. This is actually the first
anymore.
time I think he's ever ditched one of these.
Well, I guess he's not gonna finish last then. Yeah, I can't tell. That's
Oh,
no.
wait.
Hold on, this is the typo with Biolante. Biolante. Biolante, look.
I know why he backpedaled. He was still in her mouth, wasn't he?
Oh, okay. But Andrew, you see that typo, right?
Biolante.
Biolante.
Ground Trick Alive has a Biolante charge forward.
Godzilla fired a beam into Biolante.
Godzilla fired his beam. Okay, no. But yeah, Biolante's
Biolante and Biolante. Don't you know? It's just Biolante multiple personality disorder. She has Biolante and Biolante.
Personality disorder. Oh God. Biolante charged forward, slamming her enormous body into Godzilla, knocking him backwards. SpaceGodzilla conducted energy through his body and his restraints exploded in a shower of acid. Some of it splattered onto his remaining shoulder crystal, but it would last for a little while longer. We saw the other two in the distance. Biolante slammed her head down onto Godzilla, who crumpled onto the ground, only to get back up again. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Never gonna keep me down. SpaceGodzilla didn't think Godzilla had suffered enough. Reaching out telekinetically, he lifted Biolante up with the guardian tornado once again and dropped her on top of Godzilla, hoping he would die a slow and painful death crushed underneath her ungodly weight. Are you calling her fat?
They're bulky, not fat.
They're bulky. Oh, no wonder she's so mad. He called her fat.
Yeah, she's just big boned.
Does Biolante even have bones?
I think
I
she
believe
does.
she does. I believe
Because she has
She
teeth. doesn't
does?
Yeah.
She has teeth.
Oh
That's
yeah.
true. She has teeth. Okay,
Teeth
that's
count as
that's-
bones.
Okay, that's a fair point. Suddenly, there was a great flash of light as a nuclear pulse blasted Biolante off of Godzilla. Godzilla rose up, his spines melting like candle wax. He was close to melting down, but he was also getting stronger the closer his death came. SpaceGodzilla's spines charged with a blood-red light. The heat from his spines was so intense that any nearby buildings, trees, and cars caught on fire.
And mentally
People who were-
insane.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
mental-
and mentally insane.
and the mentally insane. People who were
They're probably
and-
worshipping him right
and
now.
the stubborn businessmen and the looters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who were too close to him were instantly atomized into another. Okay, quick question: Were there actually
Well, there you go.
were there actually people this close to the fight?
Apparently, I guess it would be the mentally insane.
I guess the mentally insane, the stubborn businessmen, and the looters were too close. I guess.
The looters could be that close, but the
Okay, you know what? I
They-
thought.
they could be at a
Okay,
mall right now.
I actually would buy if a looter would literally dive into a monster fight just to get stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
would buy that.
Yeah, looters
But-
are
but-
mentally
Have you
insane.
seen
I can see that.
the what's it called, the 1998 movie?
I wish I hadn't.
There were looters in there when their truck got crushed.
I'm reminded more of Godzilla raids again with those robbers, and they were like
Oh yeah.
trying to get away during the flood.
Oh yeah.
Man, remember that movie? I wish I didn't.
Keep
Yep.
reading.
Okay, yeah. Godzilla fired his beam directly at Biolante, who shrieked in utter agony. Godzilla turned his attention to SpaceGodzilla, but before he could even move, Godzilla shot his beam into a building next to Godzilla, which
SpaceGodzilla.
collapsed on... What?
You forgot the space.
Oh, oops. SpaceGodzilla shot his beam into a building next to Godzilla, which collapsed on top of him. I'm getting all the Godzillas mixed up. Shoot. Having
There's so
bought
many
himself some
Godzillas.
time, SpaceGodzilla fired a barrage of corner beams at Biolante Godzilla. Plant
That
Godzilla.
Godzilla, you mean?
Yeah, Plant Godzilla. And flew right at her, striking her with energized claws. But Plant Godzilla shrieked out in pain, and as much as Space Godzilla enjoyed his suffering, he knew it wasn't enough. It was then that he had noticed his most recent wounds had healed. Space Godzilla decided that she must be running low on energy if she can't regenerate her wounds anymore. As Space Godzilla tried to think of a way to kill her, Plant Godzilla, having enough of the mutant, bit down on him, lifting him up and shaking her head violently like a good dog, before letting go and sending him careening into a building.
Bark, bark.
Bork. The explosion shook the ground as Godzilla rose up, ready to finish the fight. Biolante sent an army of vines at him, because he was so near the meltdown, Godzilla's beam was now huge and the lightning that spouted around it white. The vines couldn't get past the ray and were completely incinerated. Godzilla's beam just kept coming and slammed into Biolante, who realistically should be on fire at this point. Godzilla stopped and looked. Her stomach exploded and half her face was on fire. Like that.
Oh, I just got something really good when I get to read.
Oh, good.
I got
God-
Pokemon.
You got Pokemon? Oh, boy.
I got Pokemon that work perfectly with them right now.
Oh boy.
Godzilla. Okay, where was I? He was going to finish her off, lewd, when suddenly thousands of giant crystals rained down and pierced Biolante's body. Some of them exploded once inside her, ew, but most just stayed there, crucifying her enormous form. Biolante lifted several stumps that used to be vines and just stared at them in shock. She looked down at her body. Acidic blood was leaking out of her mouth. She might not recover from this. She had regenerated from what we normally kill other creatures, but this time she wasn't so sure. It felt different. She didn't feel fresh anymore. I had to.
She wasn't photosynthesizing anymore either.
She was. Biolante doesn't feel fresh anymore. She was starting to doubt her. Remember those commercials?
Yeah, the douche or whatever.
She was starting to. She was. She was starting to doubt her recovery for the first time in her life. It would be her last time as well. Biolante slumped forwards, twitching a little, and then was still. Godzilla turned and spotted SpaceGodzilla near the CN Tower, with several crystals floating nearby. They stared daggers at each other. When Biolante's body morphed into spores and took to the sky, it acted as a bell for the next and final round to begin. Ding ding! Pass.
Oh, wait, she died. Oh,
Oh
God.
no, Credilli!
Credilli.
No!
And that's just so why I found the perfect Pokemon to represent them. Typhlosion's spines were nearly all gone now, and his skin was starting to melt off his body as that flame went around his neck, leaving puddles of melted flesh on the ground behind him as he charged forward. Tyranitar sent the crystalline missiles crashing into him. You get it? Yeah, you get it?
I get it.
I'd sadly get it.
Each one exploding on contact. But Typhlosion ignored the pain and advanced forward. Typhlosion fired his ray, but Tyranitar blocked it with his crystal shield, sending it right back at him. In an incredible display of endurance and willpower, Typhlosion kept moving forward. When he reached his mutant brother, it was a war between gods of death. Typhlosion bit down on Tyranitar, who blasted him in the gut. Typhlosion stumbled back. Tyranitar lowered his head and charged forward, hitting Typhlosion in the face with his lash.
Really doing this?
But it
Oh,
did-
okay.
So really, but it did draw blood and make him scream. Typhlosion fired another red spiral flamethrower.
Fucking god.
Tyranitar didn't have enough time to react and cried out in pain. Pain he had never knew before. Okay, I'm changing back to regular now, because I'm.
Oh, you
I'm
sure?
trying to get these
What again?
mixed up.
Yeah,
Keep
go ahead,
going,
go ahead.
obviously.
Yeah. And it's just now, before he perished from the meltdown. As long as the Space Demon's crystal forces was active, neither side would be able to gain an advantage. It would be an endless battle between two monsters with unlimited power.
No, it's unlimited power!
Yes. Until Meltdown, at least. And then Godzilla will explode and kill everyone.
Yep.
Godzilla marched towards SpaceGodzilla, who tried to slow him down with Corona beams. He denied. And Godzilla slammed into SpaceGodzilla as the two titans clawing and biting into each other. Godzilla reached up and grabbed hold of SpaceGodzilla's left shoulder crystal. SpaceGodzilla shrieked as he saw smoke rise. He realized his body was going to melt if he stayed in contact with Godzilla for too long. Panic overcoming him, SpaceGodzilla started to dip his claws into Godzilla's flesh, who returned the favor in kind by conducting energy into his claws and slashing back. Godzilla felt blood seep out of the cut inflicted on his neck as his crystal armor still melted from Biolante's acid. SpaceGodzilla opened his mouth, preparing to fire his Corona beam, only to have Godzilla bite down on his throat. Shrieking anger, broke free and bit down on Godzilla's neck, trying to return the pain. Godzilla's trap. Godzilla's spines flashed, but with nowhere for the energy to go.
You activated my trap card, Space Godzilla!
His body released it in a different way that SpaceGodzilla should have expected, seeing it happen to Biolante. For a brief moment, Godzilla's entire body glowed a bright red. Suddenly, an unbelievable nuclear pulse erupted from Godzilla's body in a dark red energy. The nuclear pulse not only sent SpaceGodzilla smashing into the CN Tower, thus cutting off his source of unlimited energy.
Didn't they destroy the CN Tower? I'm pretty sure there was a sword at this point, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think someone fell on it, but it didn't die, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for
something like
some
that.
reason, yeah.
but also shattered his remaining shoulder crystal. Now with no means to even store energy in his body, being suddenly became very bad for Tyranitar.
Really?
Godzilla.
It became super bad?
Super bad, yes.
Of course, when his shoulder spikes, he's gonna be a regular Tyranitar.
Yeah.
Godzilla forced his body to increase in power, causing his spines to melt into nothing, turning back into a Godzillasaurus. Meltdown was inevitable now. Space Godzilla felt fear for the second time. This time would be the last.
If it's
A
alright, I'd like
second
to. If it'd be alright if I could finish it off, since Alex won't be here.
pass.
Alright.
Pass.
A second nuclear pulse of nuclear energy slammed into Space Godzilla. Alex impression out.
A second. Oh no, you're not reading it fast. A second nuclear pulse of energy slammed in the Space Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would have done it faster, but that would have gave it away. Anyway, burning away his skin, revealing a strange combination of crystals and internal organs. Oh, cool! He regenerated that crystal armor from earlier. Space Godzilla shot as many corona beams as he could at Godzilla, who returned fire with a truly powerful red spiral ray. Space Godzilla stopped firing and used the last of his energy to form a shield around him. Congratulations, it's not from a shield around him. The spiral ray.
So close.
Yeah, the spiral ray was deflected right back at Godzilla, slowly burning away at his chest, but he still kept firing, ignoring the agony. Godzilla dug his feet deep into the ground so as not to be pushed back by his own recoil or even his own beam. Eventually, Space Godzilla had used up all his energy and his shield disappeared. His body was first stripped of its flesh, then the crystal armor beneath that, then the organs and bones under that until there was nothing left. A massive explosion rocketed the city of Toronto that night. Small spheres of energy raced into the sky as a shriek was heard. Space Godzilla having transformed and retreated into the sky, just as his
Wait, he doesn't know that, does he?
just as his sister had. Yeah, Space Godzilla transforms to the spores too.
You didn't know that? You didn't know
Yeah.
he transformed into crystal spores?
Not even crystal spores, just glowing spores.
Now, didn't
He
they
does?
try to explain this by
Yeah.
saying that he had like Biollante DNA or something like that?
Like Biolante DNA was heavily indicated for that whole weird split.
The movie gave two reasons why Space Godzilla exists, and they didn't say which one was which one was true.
Yeah, but I think with the way Space Godzilla is designed and the fact that he turns into spores, I think it's heavily inferred that he is a Biolante clone. So
Great, he's a clone of a clone.
something like that, or at least he came from
It's crystal
Biolante.
plant DNA.
Wait, what?
Yeah, shouldn't that be Space Godzilla's plant DNA inside of him at some point?
Well, I mean, it's not. It was like Godzilla's cells from Biolante going into a black hole or whatever.
Okay, something stupid, I know.
Okay.
Oh yes, definitely something stupid. Oh no, I'll save that for afterward.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, we're not done yet. Jeez. Godzilla reared his head back and let out a cry of victory, one that would soon turn into a howl of agony. This was it. Godzilla's time had run out. Fortune teller Bob was going to take him back to the world of the dead. Anyway,
Hey.
the fires within him burned brighter and brighter. As Godzilla writhed in agony, the sound of booster rockets filled the air. Mechagodzilla had repaired himself during the fight, The Monster King opened his eyes and glared at the metallic being landing in front of him. As far as Godzilla was concerned, Kiryu was just another monster to fight before he died and the world burned with him in an inferno of hatred. The pilot was angry at himself for being so late. Had he been here sooner, then the pilots of Garuda and Mechagodzilla might not have died. For a split second, he noticed a rather strange light in the middle of the burning city. Where Biolante and Space Godzilla had died, there was now a forest of crystals and flowers. It was strangely peaceful and beautiful, a sharp, calm contrast to the hell the city had become. It was.
You know what? I think I might just finish first.
It was almost as if they were there to honor the dead, both monsters and humans. And human. not pluralizing that. Gotcha. Shaking his head.
Human, only one human died.
Yeah, only one.
Yeah,
Shake,
The
yeah,
rest,
Biolante.
fuck them.
yeah,
Only
shake,
the only
Biolante's
counting
only
the
honoring
mentally
himself.
well the only counting the mentally insane, the looters and the stubborn businessmen.
and the other pilots for Mechagodzilla. I mean, clearly
No, the thing is,
the one human they're referring to here.
And the pilot of the Garuda.
Yeah, it's the pilot of the Garuda. That's the one human they're referring to.
what
Shake-
about Biolante?
Was it
He has a human soul, and maybe the soul died finally.
Was it
Maybe.
was it Shinjo?
Shaking his head for thinking such a thing at a time like this, the pilot got ready to fight Godzilla and brought the Absolute Zero cannon online. Winner, Godzilla. Heisei.
You know, if this was a Tom match, they'd actually. You know, if this was a Tom match, they'd actually have he would have written Kiryu fighting Godzilla.
Probably. I mean,
You know he would have if
Yeah.
Tom was writing
probably,
this.
Probably. I have little no doubt in my mind.
You know what? I might make my Gara match and just have that mysterious pilot be Joe.
Yeah.
What's up, Kiryu?
So, thoughts on the match, everyone?
All right. The biggest, I will say this: the match feels very long. Judging from all the typos and whatnot, I mean, obviously, it's very much. This feels like the same problem I had with match 38. Like it just kind of goes on for a lot longer than it needs to. It's like I don't know. I feel like
I know what the problem is. You mentioned, I know why.
well,
It's Space Godzilla. It's really because they're making Space Godzilla way stronger than he ever should have been.
right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Space Godzilla is strong, but
Not this strong.
right. Like it's Space Godzilla versus Burning Godzilla, the big finale or whatever. But yeah, it is the fact that Space Godzilla just keeps pushing through. When I feel like maybe he could have been finished off sooner. I feel and Mechagodzilla likewise.
I will give props to Christian for writing Mechagodzilla and having it be a really strong fighter.
Yeah.
Like he's literally taking on all three of them at once. I really like that. I really like that they did not underestimate Super Mechagodzilla's strength, actually.
Biolante,
even if he kind of fudged the details.
Oh, right. Biolante actually got a good amount of screen time, and I kind of like that. Like, I feel like with Tom matches, if this were Tom writing this, he would have had Biolante kind of push off to the
just
side.
Up here.
Yeah, it's not like at least Christian gives Biolante a nice bit of screen time and a nice bit.
This is how you write a fight with multiple monsters done correctly. You don't just push one off to the side and bring them back. You kind of have them swap partners a lot.
Right. They all kind of interweave, which is a good thing. Like, yeah, they all kind of come together, which is a good thing. It never felt like that they were out of the fight just for the kick of it. I think really with the exception of SpaceGodzilla, which is I think the reason why he lasted for as long as he did. But even SpaceGodzilla still got action in between.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like one of the monsters pushed off to the side and forgotten about while the other monsters fight. It really just felt like they were taking into consideration, okay, these monsters, if this monster is going to be away, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Instead of having the monster be put off to the side, just kind of I don't know, just falling asleep or sitting there. I don't know what they do.
Right. Like how Obsidius and Krystalak were fighting Biolante while Godzilla was fighting SpaceGodzilla and MechaGodzilla. Exactly.
And then I saw with Krystalak and Obsidius going after Godzilla, explaining why Godzilla isn't in the fight for a while.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. So there is definitely
because they do a good job of making sure Godzilla isn't in the fight until like he's dealt with the two minions.
Yeah. And I will admit, there is actually some nice, there are some really decent, memorable moments with this one. Like Space Godzilla lifting up Biolante, or Godzilla using Krystalak's heart to blow up Obsidius, or just Biolante's acid on Mechagodzilla. There's a lot of nice creative stuff going on here. I just feel like maybe, I don't know, I feel like it could have been paced differently, because it just felt like
it could have been shortened.
Right. It could have been short. Like, the paragraphs are huge, and I think that's just it. It's like, yeah, the paragraphs are really big.
I would have liked the paragraphs were shorter and maybe actually have Kiryu come in at the end and actually do fight Godzilla, because that's kind of a I don't really like the cliffhanger of the fight of like the bonus round and it ended on that.
I don't
If
mind
it was
cliffhangers
short-
per se, but
I don't mind cliffhangers if they're actually followed up
right.
on. And this is obviously not been followed. I could already see 2 matches come out of this: SpaceGodzilla versus Obsidius and Krystalak, and Godzilla versus Kiryu.
Yeah, at least. I might do a follow-up on this, but honestly, that's a gigantic might, so...
Well, still.
Oh, right. But yeah, other than that, it's like, it is a decent match. It just goes on for a long, long time. In some ways, maybe longer than it should have, but it does a decent job at, like, keeping Godzilla off the fight long enough, so that way it just seems like, oh, it's not Space Godzilla living forever and ever, or whatever. It's... Yeah, it's... Yeah, it felt like it dragged at points, but otherwise this is actually a good match. So,
Yeah.
minus some
Alex,
typos.
what do you think of the match? Oh, it sucks. I like that it's in Canada.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do like
Not
that.
enough Canadian matches. That's all I have to say.
Is he back?
All right, I can hear you.
Are you
Hi.
back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Something I liked about this was that how, like, Space Godzilla, whenever he was being attacked by something, like, he knew he was going to run out of energy soon, so he had to distract him somehow, like, throw him at Biolante, fly away so Biolante can take the hit, or send his minions to go out so he can recharge his energy.
Mhm.
And another thing I liked is how, like, when it gets to just the 3 themselves after Mechagodzilla's destroyed, Godzilla, when it shows how they look at each other, Godzilla only sees them as his clones. Biolante sees them as her brothers, but then she still hates them. And Space Godzilla looks at them like they're siblings, yet he also feels like he's the one sibling who, what's it called, got left behind, kind of, is like forgotten about. Because it's like Godzilla's the favorite child, and then Biolante is her own person, because they recognize her as their own person, yet he is under their shadow type of deal. Like, he wants to be out of their shadow. And so that's why he's angry at them.
Mhm. Right, yeah. In that sense, there is a good dynamic going on between the 3.
I'll agree with you, except for Godzilla. I didn't really get a sense that Godzilla, his clones. I thought he saw them as just annoying things that needed to die. Like, he didn't care what they were. They were really getting in his way. So that's all the reason he needs to get rid of it. Just take him out. The fact that they are his clones just happens to be a bonus.
Right.
Okay, I don't think, because Godzilla really doesn't care. I don't think Godzilla actually cares about the fact they're his clones. Like, it seemed Biolante and SpaceGodzilla cared more about the fact they were related to Godzilla than Godzilla did about them.
Yep.
Godzilla just fought them both because they were just there. But yeah, this match could have done with being shorter and not having SpaceGodzilla be so freaking powerful. I do agree that majority of the time he's actually pulling back and sort of pulling everyone off each other like a chess game. But when he's actually fighting, I still think he's a little too powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
This is a problem SpaceGodzilla's had for a while, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Match on the one SpaceGodzilla. What was the other? Is this the last SpaceGodzilla match? I don't think he appears in anything else.
Match 100.
100.
Yeah,
100?
him and Biolante
Okay,
appear in 100. So.
Okay, so
and also the other big note of this match also introduced Obsidius and Krystalak. So, I think that's actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
and they were never used again.
Yeah, right.
Because they exploded.
Yeah. But that's actually kind of a noteworthy note. It's like, oh yeah, Godzilla Unleashed monsters are now in this. So it's like, that's kind of cool. So there will be more matches for them to come.
That's a footnote.
Right. And I guess we said what we need to say. I guess.
I do love how SpaceGodzilla has not been used and literally almost 200 matches now.
You mean 100 matches?
And 100 matches, right?
Oh yeah, the banner. Also, yeah. good banner. Like,
Pretty nice banner. It doesn't look too clustered though. Krystalak and Obsidius do look. Krystalak, Obsidius, and Mechagodzilla do look kind of hokey.
yeah,
Especially
they do
Mechagodzilla.
kind of look.
He's just
Oh, right.
he's just in the middle of the water.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla in particular looks really hokey.
Mechagodzilla just looks kind of slapped in there, but Krystalak looks decent. He's got some nice like light layers on him and all that. That's kind of cool.
And those spotlights.
Oh, right, the spotlights. Yeah, that's what I meant. And well, Obsidius is kind of slapped in there too, but he blends in a little better because he's darker. So, yeah.
And then let's see here. Biolante I like how they actually put the buildings in front of Biolante for
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why SpaceGodzilla. That's the reason not SpaceGodzilla. That's the reason why Mechagodzilla looks slapped in there because he's just gonna sit in there in front of the buildings.
Right. I mean, to be fair, he's technically across from Obsidius, but it doesn't. Look
I know
like
it looks bad.
Right. There could have been a better pose used for him. There could have been, but
Yep.
Yeah, a better
Like maybe
pose,
him
and I
flying.
think. Yeah, have Mechagodzilla be in the back, like between Biolante and Godzilla.
oh yeah, totally. That
That
would have made it
could've
look
would've
much
worked.
better.
Because I mean, Space God, like literally half of Space Godzilla's body is covered up by Obsidius.
Right.
Like, if you look, I'm pretty sure that the upper torso of Space Godzilla was actually used.
It probably is because when you look under Obsidian's arm, it's just buildings.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. Or I think that is a
There's no
building.
tail.
No, I
It's
think
a
that is a
building.
building.
It's
That's
a building, but look at actual Space Godzilla. It's just his upper torso is there.
Right. Yeah, I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
it's all
But there's like a glowing blue building like right behind Obsidius, so like hides
What
Space Godzilla. I think.
That.
I don't know.
Is that similar to the building in Australia, a really famous one? Oh, what's it called?
No. This is Toronto. This is in Canada.
I know it's Toronto. I know this is in Toronto, but I don't know what that building is. The blue one.
I have no idea, but yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who made the banner for this match?
Stephanie Hughes, I believe. Like she made the majority of the banners up to I believe Stephanie made
We should
match 91.
we should get Steph on here and just yell at her for her shoddy work. Just be like, did you see Mechagodzilla? Shame on you.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I do
Is that all we
think
have to say?
it's a little sketchy how close Godzilla is to becoming Meltdown though, and they're still able to keep up with him. Actually, now that I think about it, like his skin is literally melting off his flesh.
There's no spines anymore by the end.
And they're
hold up. I'm
What?
looking at the KWC statistics thread, and apparently there's another writer attached to this one.
what?
Yeah.
Whoa!
David Kunath. I have no idea who that is, but apparently there's another writer attached to match 91. So
Why wasn't
that's
it?
interesting.
Why wasn't it in the original then?
I have no idea. But
Why is
hopefully-
only one writer credited?
For right now, yeah. Oh, apparently only one writer. So that's
I don't. Why?
honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
But yeah, I do think it starts a little bit when Godzilla's literally melting in front of their eyes, are still able to somewhat keep up with him.
Mhm.
It stretches my disbelief on how powerful Biolante and SpaceGodzilla are that they'd be able to keep up with something with them. Now, if it was Destroyer, I could see that because he actually could keep up with Godzilla.
Oh yeah, especially
in that
Burning
one-
Godzilla for sure.
He actually could keep up with Burning Godzilla, but I don't think Biolante or SpaceGodzilla could keep up with Burning Godzilla that long.
I think I might write the sequel for this.
What? Kiryu
I
versus
might- Yeah, I'm thinking.
Kiryu versus Meltdown Godzilla?
I might attempt it.
Well, yeah, as long as 1,000 words are good.
Yeah,
It'd be a really short match, but I think that'd actually be its benefit.
Right.
like maybe cool them. The Absolute Zero cools them down a bit.
No. What happens is you
Well,
literally
hang on.
it's gonna be 900 words build up, but then the last 100 words are actually just gonna be Kiryu flying episode 0 Canyon winning.
Wait, would the Absolute Zero cannon work on him? Because he's like nearing 12,000 degrees, isn't he?
That's a good
Burning
question.
Godzilla. It
Maybe.
probably will. Okay,
Maybe?
with the
I think
Episode
it'd
Zero
cool
cannon,
him down,
it freezes
but
things-
Oh, definitely.
no,
cool
with the
down
Episode
for
Zero
sure.
cannon, it freezes things instantly, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Even though Godzilla's at such a high temperature, I think it would actually freeze him, or it would cool him down so much that he'd basically be almost immobile. Like, he wouldn't-
Kind of like a Super X3 in a way.
yeah, the Super X3 basically, yeah.
that's
Because
stronger.
if the Super X3 can stop Godzilla in that form, I think the Episode Zero Cannon's going to do way more.
Well, again, in many
Ah.
respects, Super
So it'd
X3
probably
had
turn
to
him-
deal. Super X3 had to deal with the lesser burning Godzilla. This is critical, ready to explode / meltdown burning Godzilla. So
That's
Spine's already
true,
gone,
but
meltdown.
the Episode Zero Cannon is, I assume, literally freezing something on a subatomic level. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
absolute
yeah.
zero.
oh yeah, definitely.
So I would assume either it would stop the melt, which honestly that'd be a really cool visual of Godzilla like with frozen patches and just totally spineless trying to fight Kiryu.
That'd be weird. But anyway,
That'd be weird.
that was match 91, and we'll see you guys next time for match 92. Till then, folks.
This was way too long.